Hey everyone, good morning. Look, it's really exciting to be here this morning. Been testing this live streaming out over the last couple of months, and I thought I'd really get into it now. There might be some short videos, slightly longer videos. There might be events, but I think it's definitely a technology that everyone can start to utilize to get your content out there. And for me, it's really about a couple of different things that I'm doing. One is my personal branding. As you can see, I've definitely got to get a new wallpaper created where this logo is probably on this side. But it's better starting something, right? So this is, I believe in the concept of ready, fire, aim, where you're constantly improving rather than sitting back and waiting for the perfect moment. And there are times you need to wait. There are definitely times you need to wait and utilize the correct moment. But certain things, I remember when I first started working, I'm not so much in touch with this person right now, but they mentioned it's organic growth, and definitely it's an organic process that evolves and creates what you're trying to create. So in this series of videos, in my personal branded video series, we're going to touch on the concept of higher faculties and go through this discussion over the next couple of months, really build up to something and really expand on the idea of how can we start to utilize higher faculties in our lives. And it's, when we get into it, you'll kind of go, oh, okay, yeah, I do a little bit of that. We tend to dabble in these things rather than actually utilize it to create and to, in our work life or in our family life. Why not start to consciously put a little bit of focus on it, learn the concepts, learn how to utilize these things and apply it to a specific goal. And there's nothing stopping us from doing that. And there's a vast array of resources on the web, online, in books that you can start to tap into. So what I wanted to go through is really have that discussion. Again, I'm not an expert in this. I'm exploring this, and this is part of the content I want to create is around this material, and I want to share this journey with anyone who wants to be involved and have that discussion online. Hence the reason for me streaming this and sharing it with you. If you have ideas, if you have feedback, even if you disagree, I would love to hear from you, because sometimes in that disagreement we come up with the thing that actually works. So I have created some slides. It's not a lot. It's a start though. So I'm going to share that with you now. Let me just find that. So we're on the right page. Here we go. Okay, so slideshow. Excuse the lack of preparation. So you'll be able to see this. I'm going to share sound so you'll be able to see me and hear me. Okay, so if everything has gone right, you'll be able to see the slides now. As you can see my logo in huge font in future slides. Just going to make it a little bit more subtle, but this is the best that I could do over the last 24 hours. So this is really an introduction into higher faculties. We're not going to go into depth on each one of them. We're just going to have a little bit of a discussion. And I'm going to share, some of the things that I found online, what society or what people have put online, what they think it is, and then we'll delve deep into these concepts over the next few months. And then really dive deep into it to create a summary sheet and, which you can start to look at and utilize and go, hey, this is how I can apply this one, or this is how I can apply this one. So let's get into it. So what are the higher faculties of the mind? Now, I'm just going to go through each one of them and swap between this and what's available on the web. So one of the ones is intuition. So what is intuition? So let me stop the share for a second, and we will go into having a look at what some people think what intuition is. So what is intuition? So this is some of the things that I found on the web, what people understand intuition to be. So this is one of them. The ability to understand something instinctively without the need for conscious reasoning. So what does that mean? So it's almost like we are aware of something without actually, processing it consciously in our mind. So some of the things that come to mind are, you intuitively know that someone's not feeling. You walk into a room and someone's just upset. You just get that feeling. We call it feeling or gut instinct. So it's that ability to be able to know things without really having to go through it and doing a process of, okay, this is why this happened and this is why this happened. So I'm sure you've had hunches. I'm sure you've had a knowing that you're going to meet someone and you meet them the next day and you go, oh, that's coincidence. And that's great. That's great. You can rationalize like that. But if it keeps happening, how do you instinctively, how do you say it's always going to be a coincidence? Is there that much of a chance that these things happen all the time? And the people who don't want to put too much meaning towards it, they'll say, yeah, there's chance. But I think there is something that we can explore here. So that's the first you got to see all of them in one go. That's the first higher faculty that we'll be discussing. Imagination is the next one, and this one's a little bit easier to grasp in the sense that we do use our imagination a little bit more in the sense of coming up with ideas in the realm of solving problems. But there's a couple of different types of imagination. There's the synthetic and the creative, right? So the generally what we tend to do is we get a problem and we use our imagination to go, oh, okay, well, this is what it is. What could it look like? How could we solve this problem? As opposed to the creative imagination is just coming up with something completely different. And we tend to use that a lot less of the time because there's generally problems that are provided to us, I guess, through the workplace or through where, family, the home. You've got a problem, you're presented with a problem. The door lock has broken. Go and fix it. Replace the door lock, tinker with it, whatever it needs to be done. You are given, for example, a spreadsheet, a couple of spreadsheets, and you need to combine it at work. And you go, okay, well, if we add these columns here and we add these, extra formulas here, we can combine them. Otherwise, it's too difficult. However, if you're given a problem of, solve, if you're not actually given the problem and go, this is the data, what is the problem and what is the way you can present it in, that's a different, that's merging on going towards your creative imagination. So let's have a little bit of a peek at what's available on the web about imagination, just so we can understand that a little bit more and delve into it. So the imagination, the faculty or action of forming new ideas or images or concepts of external objects not presented to the senses. What are the senses? So we got our sight, smell, taste, touch, all those physical senses that we live in every day, right? So these are the ones that we are familiar with. We process these on a daily basis. So our lives are really constructed to be able to engage with the world using these senses. But now we're embarking on these higher faculties, and it's a little bit unfamiliar territory to some of us. We do use it sometimes, but we don't use it most of the time. Hence, it's unfamiliar. So how do we start to use those? And that's what we want to really explore through this series. I'm just going to go straight into this. So we've got tuition, imagination, perception. Now, what is perception? Now, let's have a look at what's on the web about perception. The ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. So how do we perceive those? So we've got our senses. How do we perceive what's happened? So the event happens, there might be something that happens in front of you, and then, you see it, then you start to hear it, and you become aware of the different things through that, and your brain processes these things to give you an understanding of what that event has been. The next one is reason. Now, how do you rationalize it? A cause or explanation or justification of the action or event that just happened. So now, generally as human beings, something happens, and we need to try to understand it. Why did that happen? Oh, okay. Well, this went here, and this hit this, and then boom, that happened. Or this person said this to this person, and this person reacted in this way, and okay, the whole section was disbanded, or everyone was made redundant, or whatever. A company, there's a hostile takeover of a company, which I've been in actually, and then the whole section got made redundant, and it's a very interesting thing to go through. So there needs to be a rationalization or a justification of the events that transpired. So the power of the mind to think, understand, and form judgments logically. So this is all about that logical side of the mind, to think, understand, and form judgments logically. So we need to really have reasons for why things happened as human beings, most of us anyway. The will. Now, what is the will? Expressing the future tense, expressing inevitable events. So this is really, what do we will to happen? What is kind of almost predestined? How do we, that path that we're taking, do we will for that to happen? So this is something we are really going to explore. And then the last one is memory. And we're quite familiar with what memory is. So let's have a look at a simple definition. Memory is the process of taking information from the world around us, processing it, and storing it. So we can storing it and later recalling that information, sometimes many years later. Now, in modern days, there's this concept of, well, if we can store our memories, let's say on a physical medium, is it possible for us to store the consciousness of the human being and retrieve it and put it into a machine? Now, I don't know if that's possible. I believe there's definitely a soul that runs us. However, not everyone may agree with that. And maybe to a certain extent, we can take the memories, the processes that we go through, and then put it into a machine, and it may function similarly. It may not function exactly, but it may function similarly to a human being, or the human being those processes and memories were taken from. So memory is the being able to store certain information about, things that have happened, events that we've perceived, and be able to recall that information. So how do we really, how do we start to use these higher faculties to create our lives the way we want it is really what we're going to go through over the next few months. And we're going to start with intuition. I'm not going to go through that today. I just wanted to give an introduction into what we're going to go through. But over the next week, we'll touch on intuition, really dive deep into what intuition is. Look at some videos online, some snippets of videos, and really explore the concept of what is intuition and how can we start to utilize that in our lives, as well as imagination, perception, reason, and will, which will follow up over the next couple of months. So that's what I wanted to go through today. Really have that introduction. Sorry, I forgot to mention memory. What will come out of this discussion is a summary sheet. And I wanted to just mention here, if you would like a copy of that summary sheet, to get in touch with me. I'll put my email down. Please use this email for now. So the harsha@cinemaratna.org. I am in the process of setting up a new email, contact@harsha.au, just so it's all consistent with the website. Send me an email, just say, hey, I saw your video. I'm interested in getting a copy of this summary sheet. I really want to condense this information down as to a A4 sheet. It may expand out into more, but let's see how we go over the next few months. And so thanks for joining me. If you are live watching this morning, around the world somewhere, or up early in Australia, and I will catch you over the next day, tomorrow morning, for the next discussion about high faculties.